Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Flex Podcast. The NFL is Poker Pro and a DFS Pro. He won the World Series of Poker Gold Bracelets. Max, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
Wow, I just saw Gordon Hayward get injured. So a little distracted. I think Pete was also, a little distracted as well, but we're going to talk about football tonight. So feeling good about that.
Yeah. Pete, do you want to say anything or let's just move on?
Let's try to move on. I just feel awful. Just an awful situation.
Yeah, it happened. We were recording this Tuesday night, and the Gordon Hayward injury happened like 45 seconds before we started. So we're trying to process that while also thinking about the NFL slate. Anyway, so week 7, we're going to jump right in. And as usual, we're going to start with the segment that we've been doing all year, which is real or fake. It's where I'm going to go around the board here and ask each of these guys to give me one real trend that will continue this season and one fake trend. It could be about something from week 6 or just something from the season, player, team, whatever. Freedman, I'll start with you. What are a couple things that are real or fake that you've identified this year?
Okay, so real, and I think I've talked about them before, but more kind of like from the fake angle, but I have found something real. So the Bills, not a great team, but I think their defense is pretty real. So no opponent has scored more than 17 points against them in any game. No team has even hit its implied total against them. They're holding teams to a league best 7.8 below the weekly implied total. Their defense keeps them in games, and then they're, it keeps the score low, so it gives them a chance to win. So they're 1-4 on the over and under, and then 4-1 against the spread. And I don't think that those numbers are coincidental. I think we're probably going to see trending in that way, where they will stay close in games, come close to covering, if not cover, but routinely be in unders. And then for the fake, I'm going with Adrian Peterson and the Cardinals' one-game renaissance. I still like individual pieces of that offense. And, I love that they throw more than any other team in the league. So there's a lot of, potential goodness there, but they were playing against the Bucs defense that allows a lot of points. And I think Peterson was kind of amped up from the escape from New Orleans. So I think there's potential there, but I'm not really buying Adrian Peterson as a huge part of that offense.
Yeah, I figured that would be one of the ones that we discuss. We'll get into that a little bit more. Max, what are some real or fake things that you've identified either from last week or the season?
Defense as well, except talk about just a defense that's really, really bad and it's going to be really juicy for fantasy. I think the Bucs defense is one of the best wide receiver matchups in the NFL. I think especially given the way their offense plays, actually, because their offense is high paced, they throw it down the field, and it sort of is a recipe for a lot of plays for both teams in the game. I think their defense, the secondary, is really, really weak. They allow just a ton of receiving yards and targets to wide receivers. And with that higher pace, that's going to mean more receptions for wide receivers as well. So I think they're just going to be a really juicy matchup for wide receivers all year. That being said, they're facing Buffalo this week, so they really basically have 0 people at wide receiver. I guess you could punt with someone like Zay Jones, or maybe Jordan Matthews is back. But I think as the year goes on, it's a team I'm going to target. As for fake, I would say maybe, I believe Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback, and I think he's going to have good games. I also think he's going to put up some really major duds during the season. I think there's going to be a couple games during the season where he's going up against maybe a mediocre defense on the road, and there's going to be people targeting him where we can actually use that defense in tournaments like the Millionaire Maker and make a lot of money leveraging him having a bad game. So.
Yeah, good calls there. Pete, how was week 6 for you, and what are some real fake things that you are identifying this week?
Well, week 6 started off. Thought I was going to get back everything that went wrong in September and more. Thought I was in store for my best week ever. All in on Gronk. Had Saints D in cash. I had them in the Thunderdome at 6%. I had McKinnon and Ingram. So I have 4 guys on the slate where basically, I'm set up to just absolutely destroy. My ROI going into the 4 p.m. games was like 800%, something just off the charts. My 1 p.m. only teams were just the straight stones, and was feeling like, all right, back on the train. Just now I need Amari Cooper and the Broncos to do something to come through in a way so I can have an epic Sunday. And, of course, Amari Cooper shits the bed. My mentions get blown up. My ROI goes way south from where it was. And then I'm like, all right, things can still be slightly salvaged here. I'm going to the Broncos game. I was in a suite with a bunch of other DFS guys. Just needed C.J. Anderson and the Broncos D to do something. Somehow, the Broncos D plays absolutely pitiful, gives up a bunch of rushing yards to the Giants, who clearly that's going to be their game plan. And C.J. Anderson gets 1.7 points. In some 2 high-stakes games, I was playing a guy head-to-head. I needed 4 points out of C.J. Anderson. So I had hope, lots of hope, until the very last second. And, that touchdown didn't count. And, my great week turned into like a 10% ROI week. So
that's nice.
I guess that's a long, long story of epic tilt. But it wasn't the worst week because I got lucky with the Saints defense, really. But real and fake. Real, the Packers are going to suck. They're going to be absolutely terrible without Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to be rostering anybody from the Packers in the short term until prices really regress. Even against the Saints here, I'm not buying them at all. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most valuable player in the NFL by far, and I'm going to be shorting the Packers just in general. Maybe Hundley will surprise me, but that's my opinion at this point. And then what's fake is this Broncos team playing awful defense. I think they're clearly still an elite defense. I'm not buying that at all. A lot of people talking smack about them. Their offense might be in trouble, but that defense is still someone we want to fade pretty much every position against.
When do the Raiders have a bye week? That's what I want to know. That's going to be Pete's most profitable week. You don't even have to make the decision. I'm not sure when that is. Probably coming up the next couple here. Cool. All right, let's move to our next segment here. We're going to talk about the chalk. So when we're making chalky lineups when we're making lineups this week, who are the first players that we're tending to lock in? Who are the chalky plays that we are fine with being in the cash game core? I will give a caveat, say that we do record this on Tuesday night, as I mentioned. So the analysis that we're giving is still it's very, very early. Obviously, if we get some injury news or something like that, the chalk could change. But as of Tuesday night, just based on pricing and rolls and stuff like that, we're going to try our best to identify some of the chalk. Max, I'll kick to you first. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I haven't done a ton of research so far, so take this with a grain of salt. I'd love some help from you guys as well. I'm thinking in terms of chalk, on DK, I'm thinking Eric Decker. He didn't get priced up from the game on Monday night, and he's only at 4,300. I think he had 9 targets in a solid game. They're going against Cleveland. I can imagine that he's going to be pretty chalky. Ezekiel Elliott, especially on FanDuel, getting reinstated from suspension. I think he's going to be very high owned against San Francisco. Those are and Doug Baldwin as well seems like a pretty chalky play that I really like against the Giants. As long as Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie is, in fact, still out. I don't know if that's true, but he seems like a chalk play as well. Those are sort of the guys off the top of my head. I'm curious what other people think.
Yeah, Freedman, what are your thoughts?
So I think DRC I think he was just reinstated today, so that might change some things. But thinking about quarterbacks, I think if people are paying up, they might be fine with going with Breeze against the Packers defense, which is just, especially in the secondary, horrible and now injured, missing a number of guys this last week and still uncertain as to whether they will be available this week. And then obviously without Aaron Rodgers on the other side, there could just be a lot of possessions for the Saints. And then going cheaper at quarterback, I think Tyrod could be a fairly popular play, especially given his running upside. At running back, I think it's going to be pretty easy to want Le'Veon Bell as a home favorite. I think Zeke is also really interesting. The Cowboys are big favorites on the road going against a 49ers team that allows the second most fantasy points in the league to opposing backfields. So some people might really look for a J-Mo-Man strategy with those two. And then at wide receiver, I think it's kind of hard to say, but I think Michael Thomas going against that Packers secondary could be someone that people look at. But, it seems like a week where I don't know. It doesn't seem quite as obvious at this point the way it did last week with some players.
Yeah, we had those cheap running backs, so even early in the week, it was very easy to identify. Pete, what are your thoughts on some of the chalk this week?
Yeah, I'm on Ty God as the chalk at quarterback. I think he'll end up being a really good play. Really like the spot here. Obviously, we need to get a little bit more information. But the interesting thing is with Charles Clay out and kind of the lack of options, maybe his ownership will be a little down in tournaments. But, obviously he's one of the quarterbacks where you feel really comfortable just rolling him by himself with his rushing upside. The pairing, I guess, might be LaShawn McCoy, who I think also will be pretty chalky. Given his price tag. I do agree with Freedman that people will probably lean Le'Veon Bell and Ezekiel Elliott, but LaShawn McCoy might be right up there in ownership as well. So those are two guys I'm kind of looking at right away. Actually, I had thought about Decker as well, given that we have the information of basically, the games not being priced correctly for the Monday night stuff, for the players in the games from Monday night not being updated. So I think Decker is definitely a beneficiary. I like him. Hopefully Mariota gets even a little bit more mobility back with the long rest, with the rest. But, those are kind of the guys I'm looking at right now.
Let's talk about some of the chalky fades and leverage and pivot plays. So, if we expect Ty Guy to be some of the chalky, if he's going to be chalky at the quarterback position, who we might pivot to instead, whether it's paying up or just a guy around him, stuff like that. Freeman, I'll kick to you first. Who are some of those things you're identifying?
It's, I would like to know what you guys think about someone like Adrian Peterson and how potentially chalky he might be. I don't know if there are people who are going to kind of have that recency bias in mind. And the thing is, he is going against a Rams defense that allows the most points per game to opposing backfield. So that might be something that entices people. But in terms of pivots, I like Ajayi as a home favorite. The Jets have given up points to running backs. I like Melvin Gordon as a home favorite. I think he's definitely not going to be chalky going against Denver, but he traditionally has gotten pretty good volume against them, over 20 carries per game, I think around 5 targets per game. If they can keep it close, he has a decent chance of falling into the end zone, just as he's done basically every game for the last season and a half. So I like him as a potential pivot. AJ Green, I'll be interested to know what you guys think about him. The Steelers have been pretty tough against wide receivers this year, allowing the fewest fantasy points in the league to receiving units. So I don't know. I think even though he's playing at a really high level, especially since they made the switch at offensive coordinator, it seems like he might be a guy to fade. I would actually be interested in getting some exposure on Jordy Nelson. And I know that sounds crazy, definitely not for cash games, but I think people are going to be really low on him. I think he still has a pretty decent matchup against the Saints, who, even though their defense is improved, they are still allowing points to wide receivers. And Jordy Nelson, he doesn't have that many games since his 2011 breakout. He doesn't have that many games without Aaron Rodgers. But the 8 games in which he has been without Aaron Rodgers, he's actually still been pretty decent. He's had a little less touchdown equity, but the same targets, basically the same yardage. So if he's getting the same targets and same yardage and they're able to get near the end zone, he has a decent chance at getting a red zone target. So I could see him being faded more than he maybe should be, just as an overreaction.
Cool. Max, who are some of the players that you think might be high owned that you might want to fade in tournaments, or just some general pivot plays that you are looking at? I know it's early in the week.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about Green Bay, just because I know Pete opened at the start saying he's going to fade Green Bay. I'm kind of a little bit on the Green Bay train.
We got some props coming. Freedman's on it. You guys got it. We got some props coming.
Yeah, well, okay. Their skill position players are priced down a lot, especially on DraftKings. Like Jordy Nelson is not expensive. Devontae Adams is $5,800. Randall Cobb's $5,300. Brett Hundley, okay, he looked bad, but he came in completely unprepared midweek. We've seen this happen a lot where the quarterback comes in and everyone thinks they're terrible, and they come and play next week and suddenly, oh, they're not terrible. Well, that makes sense. They have a week to prepare versus not even thinking they're going to be in the game because Aaron Rodgers is in front of them and they just have no hope whatsoever. Hundley is a quarterback that can run. I think I've been reading articles. It seems like they're going to run a lot of read option with him. I think this could be an interesting play with him in Cobb, maybe, who may be used out of the backfield. I mean, I'm really speculating here, but Hundley's only 5,100. He's at home against New Orleans. New Orleans is certainly bottom 3 defense in the league. And by the way, Matt Stafford last week, I saw you used Saints D. Matt Stafford was like playing on one leg and he still carved them up. So I really don't believe in the Saints D. I think it could be an interesting play, an interesting stack with Cobb or maybe Martellus Bennett as a really cheap play. And I was just thinking in terms of just pivots off the chalk, Delaney Walker is obviously priced up a lot, but sort of the mantra of the season, as Al Seidenfeld would say, is you just play tight end versus Cleveland. And I think people are going to play him a lot. So I think a decent pivot would be maybe pay down at tight end so you can afford more people at wide receiver and running back or quarterback. You can use someone like Martellus Bennett with Hundley. You could use a guy like George Kittle or Kyle Rudolph. I think that's an interesting pivot because I think guys like Delaney Walker, maybe Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Jimmy Graham are going to be the chalk at tight end. So if you save money at the position, you're going to have a line of construction that's pretty different.
One quick thing just to go off of what Max said. With the Saints, they've moved strong safety Kenny Vaccaro to slot cornerback. He's pretty much been playing exclusively there for the last 3 games, and he is horrible, like really one of the worst coverage guys, and Cobb could eat him up. Tate had a pretty good game against the Saints. It could be a pretty good spot for Cobb if you're going to pick one of the Saints cornerbacks to target.
Cool. Pete, hop in here. What are your thoughts on some of the pivots that you're looking at, maybe from some of the chalk or just low-owned guys you're looking at?
Well, I'm excited to talk about the Green Bay stuff here just again. I do think that Max made some good points just pertaining to, the preparation's huge and being at home is huge, and it's a great matchup. But my overall thinking is more just like long-term. I think Aaron Rodgers is so valuable. And I don't even think this Green Bay team is like that good. I just think Aaron Rodgers made them really good. But this week we'll see. We'll get into props here more later. One guy that I love in terms of a pivot, I think people are going to spend up at running back this week, go cheap at quarterback, and kind of spend down or go mid-tier at receiver. So one running back that I like that's kind of in that mid-tier that I think people will overlook is Kamara. Everyone obviously saw Ingram go off. His price went really heavy, but I think a big part of this trade for them was getting Kamara more involved. He's a freak athlete. I mean, we saw some unbelievable plays from him, both running the football and catching the ball to the backfield. I think this is a great spot for him. I think they're going to continue to try to get him more work. I think he sets up really well in DraftKings given that he's a pass-catching running back. So I like going that route as kind of a pivot from roster construction. And then the other thing you can do is pay up for receiver. I mean, Antonio Brown, every single week this year has not been heavily owned, especially on DraftKings. And, I mean, I know that after last week he might be a little bit more heavily owned, but I think people are going to have the tendency to pay up for Le'Veon, Zeke, and McCoy. So it's going to be a lot harder to roster someone like Antonio Brown. I think just trying to find those expensive guys. I mean, you could do the same thing with A.J. Green. We'll see what happens with Jameis or Mike Evans. But I like the idea of spending up at receiver and going cheaper at running back as pivots.
Just one thing off of what Pete said there. I mean, Antonio Brown, I think, is clearly the best receiver in the league, and that he doesn't have high ownership to this point in the season. And then now he's sort of like in his jam spot as a home favorite. Like it really doesn't get much better than that, except for the matchup. It's not a great matchup. But other than that, I mean, everything is sort of aligned for it.
I think an issue, though, is and I guess the week will shape up and we'll see with injuries. There is nothing standing out in terms of value aside from Eric Decker.
Right.
These high dollar plays, and I think Pete's right. Like, people are going to pay up for Bell, they're going to pay up for Elliott. They're not going to prioritize paying up for Brown, who I think actually has a really horrible history against the Bengals. I'm not positive about that. So I think he probably is going to have low ownership. So if you want to pay up there, I think that makes sense as a pivot play. I think also paying up for quarterback is an interesting play too, because I think you're right. Tyrod Taylor is going to be high owned. There's probably going to be cheap quarterbacks high owned. You can go someone like Cam Newton, Kelvin Benjamin. They'll probably be very, very low owned. And obviously there's upside there. So that's an interesting route to go as well.
And one thing that I think complicates all of this is the Falcons-Patriots game on the main slate for FanDuel, but not for DraftKings. Like, that's the game in the slate with the highest total. So a lot of people will have an interest in that game for one site, but obviously not the other.
Yep, that's a good point.
On FanDuel, Julio Jones is like the chalkiest chalk of chalk. But
yeah, but yeah. All right, let's keep on moving. Let's talk about some conventional stacks. And Freedman, I'll kick to you first on this one. It obviously is an interesting week in that if the chalk quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, he's not a quarterback we usually stack a wide receiver with. So you can't just take the chalkiest quarterback like Deshaun Watson and stack him with DeAndre Hopkins this week. So it might be tough to find some conventional stacks. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, you can always stack him with Andre Holmes. That's a bad joke. No, but seriously, you could stack him with Andre Holmes. No, I'm interested in the Steelers at home as favorites, especially if Brown is going to have lower ownership. I mean, it's their spot, so I'm fine with the big stack of Ben, Le'Veon, and Brown, and then, hoping to catch some fire with some cheaper guys at other spots. The Saints at Green Bay, I think that's going to be fairly popular, and obviously running it back with a Packers wide receiver. And then I don't think we've talked about Dak or Dez or another Dallas wide receiver, but I don't mind the spot of going against the 49ers there. Fairly weak on defense, and I think that game could end up being a little more of a shootout than people would maybe think, but I think there's some upside in that game.
Pete, what are your thoughts on some conventional stacks for Week 7?
Yeah, I think Max and Matt made some good points there. I do like Drew Brees to Michael Thomas as a conventional stack. The issue is really just how much you have to spend on something like that. My other problem is, when you want to play Breeze and stack him up and pay up for it, you want to run it back with some guys on the opposing team. And at this point, I'm still pretty bearish on the Packers. So that's one that I like. I think that a lot of people are going to try to figure out what to do with Tyrod Taylor. I don't know if it's conventional at all, but Tyrod Taylor to LaShawn McCoy makes a lot of sense to me as a stack. And normally, obviously, quarterback to running back is not ideal, but when you have a pass catching back like McCoy, I think it makes a lot of sense. So those are kind of the two conventional ones that I'm looking at so far.
Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a strange week. There's not a ton of convention that's at least I'm seeing at the moment. I would add one more. I think Russell Wilson and Jimmy Graham is going to be a pretty conventional stack. It's a good matchup against the Giants. Graham has done well. There's not a lot at tight end this week at all. So I think that's going to be a conventional one. But yeah, I'm actually surprised at how I feel like this past week there's just all these juicy matchups all over the place, and this week it just doesn't feel like that.
What do you guys think about Mariota and Decker? Because both of you guys mentioned Decker as a potential value guy, chalkiness that you might be looking at.
I think Decker will certainly be conventional. Mariota, I'm pretty sure people will be aware, basically was not moving out of the pocket on that Monday night game. I think people will be concerned with that. And he's actually a little pricey at $6,900. So maybe we see he's not on the injury report or something like that, and he becomes a lot more chalky. I think just Decker alone probably will be chalky, but who knows? I'm not sure. That was something that stood out to me. I'm not sure if that's standing out to others.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, what are your thoughts on some of the unconventional stacks, contrarian stacks, whether, like you said, it's negative correlation or something like that? What are standing out to you in tournaments?
Well, my favorite one, I already talked about Kamara. I love Breeze to Kamara. I mean, I think Kamara is just going to be a total stud. He's a guy that I know Sean Payton loves. Just went into it for a long bit there, but that's probably my favorite one. I think people are going to underutilize that one at this point in time. Then you start having to kind of make some guesses here. I mean, like pairing Big Ben with someone other than Antonio Brown might be somewhat contrarian. I'm curious what people think about Big Ben at this point in time. Obviously not having a good season so far. And then I don't mind going back to like Carson Palmer and someone outside of Larry Fitzgerald as a contrarian stack. Obviously it's on the road here, but they're just going to throw a lot. I think the Adrian Peterson thing is probably pretty fake too. So that's another contrarian way to go. Same thing in that game if you want to do Jared Goff. The totals in those games with Arizona have been going over. So that's somewhere that I'd be looking just kind of early in the week here.
Freeman, what are your thoughts on some contrarian stacks? And I do want to get your opinion specifically on your NFL team, the Cowboys. Like, what about Prescott with somebody?
So I would be interested in Derrick Henry in the Titans going against the Browns. I think they have a good spread, so it might be a situation where they get some more pass rushing opportunities, can create some turnovers and get extra points that way. But I think Derrick Henry is also going to start to be the guy who asserts himself more in that backfield. And I mean, we've already seen it happen, and I think it's going to happen increasingly. And if they get in a situation where they can run out the clock, where they're going to be relying on him much more than DeMarco Murray. With Dak, it's interesting. It can't be Jason Witten going against the 49ers. They're actually very stout against tight ends. And if you're trying to go unconventional and not go with Dez, then I think it has to be like Terrence Williams or the little guy in the middle. But,
do you think Dak Dez is going to be conventional, or you think because people are going to want to get Zeke in that they could be a little lower owned than expected?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be lower owned than expected because of Zeke. So I think that is one way to go. But yeah, I mean, if it's I'm fine with the Dak Dez. I mean, Dez, I think will probably have lower ownership in that he is fairly expensive in this slate. I don't think it's warranted, but I think it's fine because it would drive down his ownership.
Max, get in here. What are your last thoughts on just some unconventional contrarian stacks for tournaments?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a pretty unconventional one, but I think it's valuable for this type of slate as long as we don't get any more injury impact or significant ones. But I'm going to go Blake Bortles with Allen Hurts or Marquise Lee or both. The Jaguars have run it just a ridiculous amount this season. And not to say that I don't expect that going forward. Obviously, they drafted Leonard Fournette. He's a beast. They're going to run with him. But there are going to be games where they're going to pass more or they're going to have to pass more. He can do things with his legs. Basically, the only two wide receivers or any receivers that he could possibly go to, aside from maybe Chris Ivory getting like 9 catches like he had last game, are Marquise Lee and Allen Hurts, who seem actually like okay wide receivers, not bad. Bortles is only 4,700 on DraftKings. Lee and Hearns are 4,300 and 4,100 respectively. I think that's sort of a stack that could take you places, especially if the Jags get a bad game script where they get down to this game and he has to throw. And Indy's defense is not good. I think people will just not care about this because they think Blake Bortles is horrible, and that might be true. But I think at this point his price is so low that you could luck out with something like this. And I do think Lee and Hearns are not bad.
Oh, I figured someone would talk about the Blake Bortles. I mean, solid matchup for sure. Going against Indy in the fast track there. All right, let's move to the bold call segment. In this segment, I will ask each of you to give me one bold real football call and then one for DFS. Pete, what are your thoughts here?
All right, bold call for DFS. I guess I'll say Kamara is the leading running back. That's a guy I'm really high on right now. I think that's pretty bold given how many studs are on the slate. And then for real life, I'll say the Bears win this game at home against the Panthers. I know Trubinsky's been up and down, mostly down so far, but at home here against Carolina, who I think has been a little bit of a mirage last couple of weeks. I think that's a good spot.
Freedman, what are some bold calls?
Okay, so for real, I'm going with the 49ers. They are 6-point underdogs at home. I'm saying that they win outright against the Cowboys in a high-scoring game. The 49ers have almost won 5 straight. Unbelievably, they've lost their last 5 games by 3 points or less.
Which is, I think it's the first time in NFL history, right?
Yeah, 13 combined points for those 5 games. They've covered in all 5 of them. they're 0-6, but by Pythagorean win expectations, they're basically a 2-4 team. And if some other things had gone differently, I mean, they'd basically be competing in the NFC West. I think they have the type of team, especially because the Cowboys play at a slower pace, that can hang around with the Cowboys. And all it takes is, just one pick six or, something. But I think they can hang around. So I'm going with them. And then I'm going to say for DFS, I've kept this one under the hat and haven't mentioned it yet. I think T.Y. Hilton against the Jags, it's not going to happen, but I think he goes for 100 and gets a touchdown. And I think it's because he has the capability to play in the slot. And I think that's where they're going to move him. And he primarily was a slot player last year. Last game, he ran most of his routes, or the majority at least of his routes, not like a huge majority, but the majority of his routes from the slot. And then Ramsey and Boye, they do not play in the slot. So their slot cornerback is an exploitable guy. He's been, beaten pretty regularly throughout the season. I think, they have to funnel targets to Hilton, and they should play him in the slot.
Cool. Max, do you have any bold calls for us?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is going to be relevant because I'm not sure if Jameis Winston is going to play or not. And so this is just assuming that if he doesn't play. If he does not play, I'm going to say Ryan Fitzpatrick over 300 yards and a couple TDs. I think he last year played an offense that's actually sort of similar to Tampa Bay's in the sense that they passed to wide receivers a ton and threw it downfield a ton, and Tampa Bay does the same thing. So I think he's actually kind of set up to do well, and obviously his wide receivers are way, way better in Tampa Bay. So I'm actually going to be on Fitzpatrick if, in fact, Jameis Winston does not play, which I'm not sure is the case. And then, obviously, as I alluded to earlier, my real-life call is Green Bay beats New Orleans. I think Hundley is not going to do that badly. They're going to do read option. I think they're going to run the ball well. Green Bay has a good run-blocking offensive line. I think they're going to win. And New Orleans' defense is terrible. So
I like it. Yeah, the Fitzpatrick, Cameron Brate, Harvard connection. Definitely one to look at. But, I guess we've foreshadowed this enough. These guys have given passive-aggressive shots at each other about this Green Bay game. So that means that we need to get into some props and bet some Coors Light on these takes. All right, let's jump into some prop bets. Pete, I'll give you the chance to start here because I know that you want to short the Green Bay Packers, and Max and Freedman want some action on you.
Let's do it. I mean, that's where it starts. I mean, I'll take right off the bat, you guys just want to do I'll take the Saints plus
Saints -6, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, Saints -6. I'm seeing -5.5 on FantasyLabs right now, but yeah, sure. If you really want 6, I'd hear the gas.
I'm just out of curiosity, what do you think this line would be if Rodgers played by 6? Like 12 points,
-4 to -6, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers is a 10-point swing.
Oh yeah. The line when this game, they did have these lines out before the season started, and I think the Packers were like a 7-point favorite.
And I think a big part of it also is the compounding effect of the tackles, left tackle and right tackle are both out. So it's not like just a new quarterback. It's like a new quarterback with less protection than he needs.
Fair enough. So are you on Pete's side of this?
No, I guess I'm saying that's why the line also moved, because it's not just Rodgers being out. It's also complications with the offensive line, which compounds everything. So I think Rodgers is maybe worth, like 5 to 7 points. And I think a couple more points are added on. 1, because of the offensive line situation. And then 2, because I think there's probably anticipation of knowing where the public might go with this. So, I mean, that's just my speculation on it. I'll take the New Orleans side.
Yeah, I will as well.
All right.
I mean, I'll take Green Bay side.
I'm giving Max 6. I'm giving Freedman 5.5.
I appreciate it.
That's fair.
We treat the guests well here.
That's fine.
Also, what players do you guys like? Jordy, I want to take the under on Jordy. What do we have projection?
14.2 is our projection for DK right now.
I will take the under.
You know, I don't.
He wants Cobb.
I want Cobb. Yeah.
What's our projection on Cobb? Give me Jordy and Cobb. We'll do both. How about that?
Our projection right now is 11.4.
Okay, how about them combined? So 27.6 combined.
It was 14 and 11 something?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 25.6.
Is it closer to 26 or 25, Freedman?
Let's see, 11.4. And then for Jordy, it's 14.2.
Oh, baby. Yeah, I get 26 then. Okay, yeah, under 26.
All right. But
Freedman, you want any of that?
I don't want that. Because I'm not sold on the combined production there. I'll do Jordy over 14.2.
just you want to take the riskier, yeah, one or two. I like the combined two players because at least there's less risk there. But okay,
I get it. I don't know. I don't know. I could see them ignoring someone and relying just a little more on Jordy.
Cool. Let's keep it rolling.
Oh man, I don't really have any conviction besides that.
Freedman, throw something out there, buddy. And props to you for throwing out a lot of volume, buddy. I'm proud of you. Better man than me, and you're at 500, which is better than me as well.
Okay, so where are you on Le'Veon Bell?
I like Le'Veon.
Yeah.
I like Le'Veon too.
You know, here actually, okay. Let's see.
If you let me take, how about this? I'll let you draft first. Give me the second, third, and fifth pick, and you can have 1, 4, 6 for running backs.
For running backs.
Yeah, assuming you want Le'Veon first, obviously.
Sure. And we're taking highest scorer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Fournette thing is kind of weird. Like, is there, like, what's last I read?
He said he expects to play.
He expects to play.
All right, so you take Fournette at your own risk, okay?
Yeah, sure. That's fair. I'm treating him as if he's probably going to play.
Okay.
And are we doing entire slate?
Sure.
Okay.
Monday.
Okay, so that brings in Kareem Hunt. Yeah. Okay.
And Devontae
I will
if you want him.
Yeah.
This is a good one. I like this.
Yeah. Okay. I will do. What is it? I have 1, and you have 2 through 4. You have 2 through 3. I have 4, 5, 6. Got it.
I will just comment on who I think is making bad or good picks.
Well, you can.
Sure. You can do the same thing with us.
I like this better. I'll commentate.
Okay. I'll do Le'Veon Bell.
Okay. I'll take Kareem Hunt and Zeke.
All right, Kareem Hunt and Zeke.
Better. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I will do Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I almost did Gurley too. I'm going to take McCoy next.
Okay.
Pete is just creaming you right now. I'm sorry to say.
I don't know. I think Gurley. I think it's close.
I'll take Fournette.
Ooh, baby. Now I feel really good about my side. Are we doing combined points or are we doing highest score?
Highest score.
Okay.
That's fine.
You could do combined points for a second.
Let's do both.
It's like a low ball, low total.
What?
Or high ball, high total.
Well, you mean like let's draft again with the idea of doing – because I drafted shooting for upside.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't want to run it back both ways, that's fine. I'll do just highest, but if you want to do that same combos versus each other, I'll do total points too.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to do total points. I'm shooting for upside there.
Okay, highest score. That's fine.
All right, so recap.
Yeah, I have Hunt, Elliott, McCoy. He has Bell, Gurley, and Fournette. I think that's really close.
Okay, I'm interested in
Max, do you have any commentation there?
No.
He thinks I got killed.
I mean, Pete just wrecked it.
All right, Freeman, go ahead. What do you have?
I'm interested in Ajayi and taking the over. Right now we have 14.6 points.
I'll take Kamara straight up over Ajayi.
Whoa, I am so in. That is terrible.
You want Ajayi, right?
Yeah, I want Ajayi.
Yeah, I'll take the Ajayi side of that, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, FantasyLabs not looking so strong right now. We have Kamara projected higher than Ajayi. And
wow. Okay, interesting. What are the projections?
This is DraftKings points, just to clarify.
I know. What are the projections? Ajayi's at 15.
Kamara is 15.3.
Yeah.
And Ajayi at 14.6. I think Ajayi should probably be higher.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to me.
I mean, his production has been really bad, but
he was good yesterday. Defeated.
Last week, yeah. I mean, he gets a touchdown. We're all thinking about it way differently.
I just would rather get some guy who's going to get all the carries and a few catches than a guy who's going to get like 40% of snaps and is going to have some sort of big reception. So I like Ajayi more.
I hear you. I think it's safer, but I am so high on Kamara this week.
Interesting.
Hey, you want Kamara instead of Melvin Gordon?
No.
Oh, Melvin Gordon. That was actually a cool call by you.
I like Melvin versus the Broncos here.
All right. I thought you might be back on the Broncos.
Give me 1.5 points, and I'll do it with you, Freedman.
Oh, done.
Done. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All shorting this is actually not correlated that well, so I'm kind of being a donkey here. The Packers totally suck. Kamara's probably not going to have a good game.
It's not correlated with reality.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, this Kamara kid, he's good.
I like Kamara. Like I'm bullish on him long term.
Yeah.
So you have Kamara over Ingram, obviously.
Like the game flow last week was awful for him with all the Saints D touchdowns. Like early on, like if they have to throw it all, he's going to be out there a ton. But
hey Pete, you want to take Kamara?
That's why I'm going to take his bag because I'm shorting the Packers. So.
Yeah, you want Kamara and I'll take Ingram.
No.
How many points would you want?
4.
So you like Ingram a lot over Ajayi?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I love Ingram way more than Ajayi this week.
Okay, so right now we have 18.6 versus 15.3. So I'll do 3.5 points.
I need 4, buddy.
Can't do it.
Okay, we drew the line in the sand right there.
Not going to do it.
All right, that's fair. Max, get in there. What do you want?
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I'll just say, what do you want? Get something in there.
Well, if you think Ingram is 4 points better than Kamara, I would take Melvin Gordon over Ingram.
Okay, I'll take Ingram over Melvin Gordon. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, done. That's a plus for me.
Wait, Pete, who are you taking on that?
I'm taking Ingram over Melvin Gordon.
Interesting.
That's crazy to me. That's all.
You're
a crazy guy, Pete.
I'll take Melvin Gordon if I can jump in on that.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll take Melvin too.
Yeah, we FantasyLabs we just have it within 0.2 right now. I get it. I mean, Melvin Gordon's been great. He's a little more expensive. Let's see.
I mean, Melvin Gordon just straight up seems like one of the best values to me. I get that it's a tough matchup, but he just gets so many receptions, and he's this is a great situation for him.
Yeah, I hear you. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey Pete, what are your thoughts on Amari Cooper?
He's not. Thursday night.
We already have it booked. Him versus Crabtree every week.
Yeah, every week. That's going great so far.
It's going great.
It's like just printing money each week.
I know. It's the most valuable thing I have in my life right now.
It's pretty damn good.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon did well. I was just looking at last year's stat. I mean, he averaged over 100 yards rushing a game versus Denver last year. So that's more evidence towards you guys. I get it.
He got the volume last year.
Yeah. I'm trying to get all in on the Saints here over the Packers.
Okay.
You know what? I actually think I like Ezekiel Elliott over Le'Veon Bell. I might be crazy.
We can do that one. I'll take
You
Le'Veon.
want to do that? I'll take Le'Veon Bell against Zeke.
Done.
All right, love it.
Okay.
Love it.
He's just, Ezekiel's just super motivated coming off of a temporary restraining order. So I just feel like he just wants it really bad.
Hey, let's talk about some of these tight ends. Normally, I think for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've talked about how ugly it is. But this week, a lot of these top guys, Gronk on the FanDuel main slate against Atlanta. Ertz has a brilliant matchup against the Redskins, and even Kelsey and Walker against the Raiders and Browns. Let's talk about some of these tight ends. Who's your favorite top guy? I guess maybe relative to price, or we can figure out some props here.
I'll take Ertz basically against anybody.
You'll take him against.
I'll take Gronk over Ertz.
Okay, let's do that. I feel I'm giving some equity, but you gave some equity before. I think that's fair. It's good.
I think what the interesting thing is if you look at DK Main, there is no Ertz, there's no Kelsey, there's no Gronk. So sort of getting tight end.
Yeah.
What the hell to do with tight end there? Yeah.
I'll tell you who the tight end play is going to end up being is Kittle.
Yeah.
Kittle has a connection with Beathard. They go way back.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's Beathard.
Beathard. I call him Beathard.
Beathard. Yeah, the funny
we have a long-running joke because in college football DFS back in the day, Sahil used to take him all the time, and we'd always talk about Beathard. I know it's Beathard, but we always Beathard.
Why would he be taking him? Because it's not like he was even all that great of a quarterback. Was he just so cheap?
It didn't make much sense. That's why I was kind of a big
I'm from Iowa, so I'm very well aware of both Kittle and Beathard, but I don't think Beathard's very good. Kittle's clearly pretty good.
Yeah, he's good.
I think ASJ against Miami is interesting. Miami was not good.
Screwed. Anyone who had him, my goodness, what a call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but ASJ, the number one receiver on that team in terms of targets and receptions since coming back from the suspension, leading the team in touchdowns receiving. Miami gave up 10 touchdowns to the position last year. There's some goodness there.
And is Hunter Henry finally we can officially say he's the guy?
That's an interesting one too. He clearly is incredibly talented, and he probably is. So you could definitely take him versus Denver.
Yeah, 15 targets the last 2 games. We had talked about he was the guy, and seems like he is now.
Okay, I'll do one where do we want to do some sort of draft here?
Let's get some drafts. Drafts are fun.
Okay. Pete, you want to go first on the tight end?
We're doing draft? All the slates?
Yeah, I think all the games is best. Otherwise, we're just who are we choosing from? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go first, and we'll just do a snake, or what do you guys want to do?
Let's do that.
Okay, I'll take Gronk.
I'll do Ertz, and I will do Kelsey.
Hold on, you're good. I thought we were just snaking.
I thought we were doing a 3-man snake.
Sorry, my mistake. Ertz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brian, do you want to get in here too? Should we do a 4-man snake?
Yeah, let's do a 4-man snake.
Sure, let's bring it on.
How many players are we getting? We need to give advantage to the guys in the bottom somehow. Are we doing?
Let's just do 2.
Let's do 3 rounds, 3rd round reversal.
Okay, so we do the first 2 as normal, and then we start for the 3rd.
Yeah.
Reversal. Okay, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first. I got Gronk.
Okay. Guess go. You can go second if you want.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Brian, you want to go second? I was going to say whoever can choose.
Yeah,
All right, I'll go second. Ertz.
Am I going next?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go Kelsey. It's fine.
I will go Delaney Walker.
Okay.
Yep, again.
I get the next one. Oh, Jimmy Graham.
I'm gonna go Henry. Why not?
Austin Safarian Jenkins.
All right, I'll go Jordan Reed.
Ooh. So it's me again?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I am going to go Evan Ingram.
Oh, man, that was mine. Oh, man. I'm going to go Cam Brate. I know that this quarterback situation is up in the air, but
I'm going with Kittle. Sorry, Pete.
Damn, and we're going to be clear. Highest scoring wins or
highest scoring wins?
Yeah. All right, I will go. I wanted Kittle badly, and Jason Witten is the highest projection, but I just have a hard time seeing him.
Yeah, with his third pick, with his third pick, you got to get like 2 touchdowns. We already got the top guys.
I think there's a clear one here.
Interesting. Zach Miller's been pretty good, but not really upside because he's been lucky with touchdowns. Rudolph is kind of, man, he gets the targets though.
Is it Doyle?
I'm thinking Hooper.
Yeah, I like Hooper. I was looking at him and Jared Cook too in the off games. I'll go.
All right, Jared Cook, interesting.
All right, you talked me into it. I'll go Hooper. I'll take just a huge scoring fest for the Falcons here.
It's a good spot. The Patriots have given it up to tight ends. Yeah.
All right, let's do a little defensive stuff before we get out of here.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Let's talk some defenses.
Let's do defenses under 3K.
3K or less, draft. Same thing?
Sure.
Under 3K.
Well, I feel like we can't do a snake draft if we're doing that because it just sort of would have to do propositions. Ooh.
How about Pete? Why don't you take a couple and we'll take the rest?
A couple of defenses?
Yeah. Take your 3 favorite defenses and we'll take the rest.
3 versus the field?
Yeah, 3 versus the field. Or you
I
take –
I definitely don't want that because all the strong defenses are on the road this week.
Yeah.
All right, so you take 3 and we take 5?
Sure.
Okay.
The top 6 salary defenses are all on the road.
All right, I'm going to take Seattle, Buffalo, and fuck. It's just so gross after that. I'll take the Jags. They've been scoring so many points. I'll take the Jags. I like Denver. The last pick is just disgusting, I feel like.
Okay. I have a couple ones I like. I'm going Minnesota.
Okay. I'm going to New Orleans, just to be clear. I'm not taking Jacksonville. I'm taking New Orleans. Staying with my
taking New Orleans. Oh, man. That's just awful. Awful.
Especially if Huntley doesn't throw, it looks really bad. But I'm sticking with it. I'm going with New Orleans.
Okay, so Pete,
we have them as projected as the highest scoring defense right now, which is clearly bad as well.
All right, so Pete, so just to be clear, you have Seattle, New Orleans, and Buffalo.
Correct.
Okay.
The New Orleans one, I know I'm giving up equity. It's just to get some correlation, try to win a lot back here with my slate. Kamara, punt return, touchdown.
Can't believe you didn't go Jags, Pete.
Are we working together here, Matt, for the –
No, you
just me?
Yeah, I mean, we both choose separately. So you choose 5, I choose 5.
Okay. Well, we should alternate though, right? Or you just start separately? Okay.
Yes.
Do the same one.
Yeah.
Let's do Minnesota, Dallas, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and maybe the Jets.
Okay, I'm gonna do
the Jets, yeah.
I'm gonna do the 4 first ones he named, and then Tennessee.
Fair enough.
Pete, what are your thoughts on the Jags this week? You were so high on them a couple of weeks ago.
The Giants?
The Jags defense.
Oh, I love the Jags D. They're still like my favorite D. It's just like on the road. I mean, I like it still. I mean, I think they're probably a better play than New Orleans. I just went with the correlation there. Kind of having fun with New Orleans this week on the pod.
Okay.
Logic about obviously.
All right. I feel I'm giving up equity on this. T.Y. Hilton, we're projecting him at 12.9. I'll take the over if anyone wants to under.
Give it to me all day.
Yeah.
Under.
Max, you want in?
Nah, I'm ambivalent.
I feel like that particular one, just like for a prop thing, if you are speculating on props, so the biggest inefficiency in props overall is they're taking too much of the mean versus the median. Right. And I think T.Y. Hilton, especially with a projection like this, like his mean is going to be much higher than his median. So that's why the under makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm giving up equity, but I want to be on him because he's my bold call.
I like it. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, I'll take Pete's side on this against the Jags. Yeah,
and Bryan swoops in.
It's like, yes, that is clearly a bad bet. Yeah,
he gets it in good with Crabtree over Cooper, and he swoops in for the under on Hilton.
Oh wait, is Bryan also in on Crabtree versus Cooper for the season?
Yeah, we got a point every week.
Oh, I thought that was just me.
That was both of us.
Okay, all right. Well, whatever. I don't mind that you're in it. You know, I mean, Pete's just getting it everywhere. All right. We're close.
Yeah, I feel good. I got everything in there that I feel I have a lot of conviction on.
You know what? Okay, Amendola.
Let's end it on this. I want to do it with Max. I'll take Tyrod Taylor versus your Hundley. They're the same price on DraftKings. Let me see how many points I need to give you.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some points there.
We haven't projected within one right now. 1.1. How many points do you want?
All right. Since I have been so confident in this, how about 1.5?
I'll give you 2.
I'll give you 2. Okay, that sounds good.
All right, done.
All right.
One more. I want Amendola. He's 11.4. I'll take the over if anyone wants under.
I'll give it to you since you're being so generous with the Hilton one.
All right, thank you.
I actually like Amendola in this spot too. I think they're going to target the slot a lot in this spot. I'll be interested to see how the Falcons match up here with the Patriots. Obviously, we have the Super Bowl, but it seems like the running backs are going to do well. It seems like the slot guys are going to do well again.
Cool. All right. Well, we are going to end it there. Thank you guys for listening. And Max, thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. Good luck, everyone, in week 7, and we'll talk to you guys next week.